Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to the end of week number 16. It's Saturday morning. We're just a couple of hours away from finding out the print runs on Mariano, Rivera and Big McGwire. I have raised my projections based on the pre-orders from Friday. At the same time, the pre-orders on the Friday cards were surprisingly high. Very, very interesting to see. But first, before we talk about all of that, if you are a fan of Project 2020 or a new fan of Project 2020 and not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. So when you think about this week overall, I think this was a very successful week in Project 2020. We had some really great cards come out. We had some cards that were iffy. And at the same time, the print runs were in relation to the cards and or the artist and or the player. For example, Jacob Rochester, an artist who has not sold that well, had the lowest amount of cards printed this week. That is what should be expected. The print runs today, the print runs tomorrow are going to be higher than that. So the floor this week is 3.7 thousand, and we're not going to see another card under 4,000 before maybe next week sometime. But it's overall a very, very nice week for Project 2020. The market is also strengthening. The prices are going up, but at the same time, they're not dropping considerably every single day, and that means the floor is strengthening. I am, though, very, very concerned around what has happened with the Nolan Ryan. The Nolan Ryan Rochester has spiked too quickly, too fast for a card that nobody wanted 2 days ago. So I have some concerns about that. We'll discuss that here in a little bit. But first, if you want to connect with me outside of this video, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at CRT_sportscards, and the website for all of your Project 2020 news and statistics is CRTsportscards.com. Before we talk about Rivera and we talk about McGwire, let's take a quick look back at the first 6 print run announcements and where our projections landed versus the actual range. So on the Monday cards, Sandy Koufax, Ted Williams. Sandy Koufax, 6.4 thousand, right in the range, at the top of the range. Ted Williams, 4.6. Then on Tuesday, Nolan Ryan and Ken Griffey. Nolan Ryan, of course, was the first card under 4,000, and then Ken Griffey over 6,000. And then yesterday, on Ichiro and George Brett, I just squeaked in on Ichiro at 6,042. I said it's going to be in the 6s, but not over 6.1. That was an adjustment based on the Griffey numbers. And then on George Brett, 4,000. As I said in the video, I didn't think it was going to do 3.9, but I really like that 4,000 range. So going into Mariano and McGwire, I am 6 for 6. It's great to see. It's been a really good last couple of weeks of projections hitting in the ranges. Now looking at the 2 cards that are going to be released in a couple of hours. We have the Mariano Rivera by Ben Baller and we have the Big McGwire by Gregory Siff. I really hope you got to watch the Gregory Siff interview with Blake Jameson on his stream last night. There was a really great segment around the evolution of the card and where it started at and where it ended at, so I would really take a look at that after this video. But when you look at the 48-hour pre-orders on Mariano Rivera, I had a target of 85. It came in at 92, and McGwire came in at 147. I had a target of 125. So both of these cards exceeded my expectations. At the same time, there is a lot of great press around both of these cards. And so because of that, I'm now raising my projections on these 2 cards. On the Mariano Rivera, which is kind of like, I don't know, trying to bob for apples at a carnival. It's just so difficult to figure out where this card lands. It makes sense always at the end, but in the moment, it's very, very difficult. So right now, on the Mariano Rivera, I'm at 9.5 to 11.99. I think 12,000 copies of this card. That's double Griffey, that's double Ichiro. I think that's too many cards when you look at where 6,000 was a couple of days ago. So I really like this card in the 11,000 range. We will see where it lands, but to me, right now, 9.5 to 11.99. And then on the McGwire, this one is just really, really surprising to see how high this card has gotten. 147 pre-orders is a ton of pre-orders when you think about this week, but when you look back to yesterday's show, I said this is going to be the highest pre-ordered card. It actually is not. There was a card yesterday that beat that, so a little teaser for that segment here in a second. On the Big McGwire, I'm looking at 7 to 8.5 thousand on this card. That is a big number this week when you think back a second ago to Griffey and Ichiro at 6,000. but I like these ranges. But if I miss these two, I get it. I understand these two cards are very difficult to project in the accurate fashion, but we'll find out here in a couple of hours. Now, here's a quick break-in, sort of some breaking news in a sense, and it's not something I normally do on the show because of how I record these, but we all just received an email from Topps around shipping windows, and it's something that I asked for on a video a couple of days ago. At least I know I recorded it. I'm pretty sure it's in a video. I might have cut it out, but the one thing I asked for was visibility into the shipping windows and what they've shipped for the week, and they're doing that now along with giving us some greater visibility. But let's take a look at that email real quick. And everybody who's a Project 2020 customer received this, and it just says, due to the high purchase volume and challenges by COVID, in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we expect they will have all of the open orders shipped, and then they're returning to the 3 to 5 business day window. And then every Thursday by noon Pacific Standard Time or 3 o'clock Eastern, they'll give an update on what cards you've shipped for the week, which is great to see. So while the shipping windows are now being increased, and look, it sucks, I get it, but look, the world we live in doesn't exist anymore, and these are very challenging times. So I'm very thankful that Topps has given us this new transparency in these difficult times. It's very, very challenging out there. At the same time, there's also a nugget of information in there. They say after this shipping wave is over with, they're going to return to 3 to 5 day shipping windows. That tells me their internal metrics say the set is going to further decrease in demand, because when did they have 3 to 5 day business day shipping windows? The very first part of the set. So we'll find out, or maybe they're just ramping up their production and ramping up staffing and printers, and they can get cards out faster. But on the flip side, this potentially means they think the set is going to further decrease in popularity, but we'll find out. So now looking at two cards that are actually in demand and not a perceived lack of demand in the future are the two cards from yesterday. The Mr. Cartoon Rickey Henderson and the King Saladin Roberto Clemente. I do, though, have a question for everyone who watches the video. I was very surprised by the King Saladin Roberto Clemente results. So after 24 hours, the Roberto Clemente had 88 pre-orders and the Mr. Cartoon had 59 pre-orders. I was stunned that Roberto Clemente sold 88 copies in one day on eBay. Maybe I missed the boat here. Maybe I was misunderstanding the card, but I'm curious for everyone out there. Do you like this Roberto Clemente? I was very surprised that this card sold more than the Gregory Siff Mark McGwire card. So from a print run projection, I'm keeping this one just in line with the Mark McGwire, 7 to 8.5 thousand. I think when we see the number come in for the Siff, we're going to see a very similar number on the Roberto Clemente. We'll find out. But to me right now, 7 to 8.5 on the Roberto Clemente. And then on the Rickey Henderson, very simple, very straightforward, 5.5 to 6.5. But I can't see this card selling more than Griffey Nichiro. But at the same time, I can see it selling more than Nichiro. So that's why I have it just over 6 in the 6.5 range. And now, the last time I checked my watch, my phone, or my computer, everything was showing that nobody wanted this Nolan Ryan by Jacob Rochester. I can point back to 2 videos. I can point back to pre-orders, my website. Everything showed that this card was not in demand, and it printed at 3.7 thousand, one of the lowest cards in recent history. But now, all of a sudden, everyone wants it at $45. This has disaster written all over it. And now when you think back to the cards 60 days ago, what was the progression of them from the flip market? Look, that's back when the flip market was healthy. It was gradual, but it was slow. So once a card came off pre-order, then it was $25, then $30, $35. It was a gradual progression. But this one, all of a sudden, after one day, $45. I have a couple of concerns, but I'm using the word disaster for a couple of different reasons. But look, if this card stays at $45 from here on out, I have zero concerns. Zero, absolutely none. Because when you look back at like Gwen Vides, Nolan Ryan, F. Dot, those cards are right around the similar print run, and they're right around $40, $45. That's okay, because those cards are in hand and they're able to move back and forth through the mail, and they're $45, no problem. But here is my concern, and this is why I'm afraid that we're about to go bubble 2.0, and I really hope we learn from the first time that we're not going to do this again. But here's the nightmare scenario. The Ryan Rochester goes up to 65, 70, 75, 80, goes to 100. What does that mean? Every other card in the process is going to go up at the same time. And you know what? Topps just told us we're not getting our cards for 6 weeks, which means that the only thing that's going to go up faster than the price are returns, because people aren't going to wait. And the moment those cards drop in value, the returns are going to mount. So if you take the risk and you sell cards you do not have, do not complain about returns. And look, I am not an advocate at all for returns. They're a necessary evil. I never want to have anyone get a return. I think they're nonsense because the reasons are always nonsense. But if you are going to start flipping cards that you do not have in hand, and you're basically flipping pixels, you're going to get burned, because we just got burned 60 days ago. The one great thing about the past 6 weeks was that it was a natural progression of cards going up in value that were live and in person. And if we start doing this again with these cards that are not in hand, that are 6 weeks away from being delivered, we're just going to get burned. So be careful out there. But if this card stays at $45, I'll be very happy. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And at the same time, if you want more news and notes from me about Project 2020, check out my playlist on the screen right now.